Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we have something truly ambitious in front of us. We're going to be performing what I can only describe as a philosophical excavation.
That's a great way to put it. We're not just scratching the surface. We are immersing ourselves in a text that, it really tries to map the entire cosmos onto human experience.
The source material is The Legend Mind, Zero to Infinity, written by the SKR, who is also known as Sonu Kumar.
And that title alone, Zero to Infinity, it tells you everything you need to know about the scope. This is not a small idea.
Definitely not. And our target for today is one specific chapter, chapter 28, titled Luckiest Amulet in the World.
Right, but before we can even begin to understand the amulet itself, the physical object, we have to get a handle on the author's entire philosophy. It's the framework for everything.
It really is. It sets the stage for how, a simple combination of coins can be made to carry the symbolic weight of the entire universe.
Exactly. The author dedicates the work to their immortal guru, Lord Shiva. And the whole project, the entire book, it seems to be driven by this very deep, personal quest. They state their goal is to live with zero attraction of the world.
So this isn't just a self-help guide or a collection of tips. This is a spiritual search for knowledge.
It is. The author talks about hunting down curious questions, the kinds of questions that just defy typical boundaries.
And that's the key, I think. The SKR is operating in this intensely interdisciplinary space. You see physics, you see deep mathematical principles, religious cosmology, numerology.
All converging. And the amulet we're about to discuss, it's like the applied science that comes out of that convergence.
The practical application of, kind of spiritual physics, if you look at it that way.
You could, yeah. And we find this chapter 28, inside Unit 2 of the book, which the author calls Legend Unique Questions.
Which is described as the application of zero unit. What does that mean to you? It sounds like it's building on a foundational concept.
It is. The zero unit is the fundamental structure for, let's say, internal growth and enlightenment in this system. So Unit 2 is where those foundational ideas get put into practice. They're applied to what the author calls world-demanded questions.
And I think this is the most fascinating piece of context for me and for you, the listener. It's how the author presents this information. They're very clear about it.
Oh, absolutely. They state that the questions and the solutions in this unit are given in a rough way or big picture.
This is not the final word. It's not meant to be.
No, it's a conceptual blueprint. The author is explicitly, and I think generously, inviting other people to participate. They say it's presented this way so that many intelligent persons as scientists, astrology, mathematician, numerology can go deep in this question to get perfect results.
So what we're about to dive into is a kind of detailed conceptual sketch. Maybe a recipe is a better word for it. It's a recipe that blends this deep spiritual faith with a very rigid mathematical structure.
And it's designed to be refined. The author is laying down the grand theory, and they're asking experts in all these different fields to come in and perfect the application.
Which means the luckiest amulet isn't being presented as a piece of simple folklore.
Not at all. It's presented as a concentrated application of a cosmological theory. A theory about balance, about energy, and about numerical resonance. It's, in a way, a prototype for self-optimization.
A prototype for self-optimization.
I love that. Okay, so with that framework in mind, let's ground this concept in a bit of history. The text makes a really strong case that this human need for symbolic protection, it's ancient.
It really does. The source notes that the very concept of an amulet is, and I'm quoting here, as oldest as our civilization exists from ancient time.
That is a powerful claim. It suggests that as soon as humans started organizing into groups, into civilizations, we also started trying to symbolically control luck and protect ourselves from unseen forces.
And the author doesn't just leave it as a general statement. They provide a very specific, a very tangible historical anchor point for this practice, which is the Harappa civilization.
Exactly. It connects this entire tradition right back to the Indus Valley civilization, one of the world's most ancient, most sophisticated urban cultures.
And how are they using them? The text is specific about this, too.
It is. It mentions that amulets were used there in the form of Harappa seal. And their purpose was, well, simple, but also incredibly profound.
To skip the impact of evil energy.
To skip the impact. It's a precise phrase. It suggests that this ancient society recognized that danger wasn't just physical. It wasn't just a tiger or a flood you had to worry about.
Right. There was this belief in some other kind of pervasive negative energy that you needed symbolic structured protection from.
Mm-hmm.
So how does a seal, which is, it's a stamp, it's a marker of identity or authority, how does that function as an amulet?
Well, if you think about what a seal does historically, it authenticates something, it marks ownership, it secures a container. So when you use that as an amulet, the seal starts to function as a kind of protective boundary. It's a formalized symbol that basically says this person or this object is already marked, it's authenticated, and it's shielded against any chaotic or negative influence.
So it's a tool for a kind of metaphysical governance.
Energy management, exactly. It's not just a lucky charm. It's a piece of, you could say, cognitive infrastructure, a way for that civilization to structure and cope with the unknown, with the chaotic.
And the author makes it clear that this isn't just some ancient, forgotten practice.
Not at all. That thread of necessity, it carries right through to today. The source notes that amulets, in countless forms, lockets, charms, ritual items, they're still a really important part of life across cultures all over the world.
Still used for positive welfare, or skip the impact of evil energy or power.
The exact same purpose. So what the author is doing here is positioning this specific luckiest amulet, not as some brand new idea, but as the, let's say, the mathematically perfected version of this ancient human need.
That sets the perfect context then. We're looking at what is framed as the ultimate refinement of a tradition that could date all the way back to the Harappa seals. So let's move into the core components of this perfected system. Let's deconstruct the amulet itself.
Okay, so this is where the author begins to translate these huge cosmic principles into tangible, everyday objects.
And it's so specific. The luckiest amulet is defined as a combination of precisely 1 5 rupee coin and 2 1 rupee coins.
1 5 and 2 1s.
The moment you hear that combination, you just know the numbers themselves have to be the key. It starts with something so accessible, currency, but it's clearly not about the money.
No, it's about the information encoded in the numbers.
So let's start with the anchor, the central piece,
Yep.
the 5 rupee coin. Why is the number 5 so critical in this structure?
The analysis immediately gives us two very deeply connected reasons. One is rooted in numerology, and the other in elemental science.
Okay, let's take the numerology first.
Firstly, the number 5 is defined in the text as the balance number.
The balance number.
Yes. And the author doesn't just assert this, they provide the mathematical mechanism for it. 5, they state, is capable of balancing with every other single-digit number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, and 9.
I have to pause on that because that is a massive claim. The power to balance all other numbers. How is that supposed to work? What's the thinking there?
Well, if you look at the numbers 1 through 9 as a sequence, 5 sits exactly in the middle. It's the literal midpoint. It's equidistant from the extremes.
Okay, so it's the fulcrum.
It is the fulcrum. In this kind of framework, the outer numbers often represent dualities. You have 1, which is singularity, versus 9, which is completion. You have 2, duality, versus 8, which is often karma or infinity. 3, creation, versus 7, spirituality.
And 5 sits in the middle of all of them.
It mediates them all. Because in this system, 5 represents the point where spirit and matter intersect. It's the number of humanity, of the senses. It's about the constant movement and change that's necessary to maintain equilibrium.
So balance isn't this passive, neutral state. It's an active force. It's something that can interact with and stabilize all the forces around it.
Precisely. And this abstract numerical idea of balance is then immediately anchored into the physical world that we all inhabit.
Through the 5 elements.
Exactly. The number 5 directly indicates the 5 fundamental elements, the Pancha Mahabhuta, from which, according to this philosophy, the entire earth and, most critically, the human body are constructed.
So by including that 5 rupee coin, you're not just carrying a number. You're symbolically carrying the essence of your own being and the very structure of the physical universe.
That's the idea.
The source is very specific about these elements, even using the Hindi terms. Can you walk us through them?
Of course. We have fire as egg, water as pani, air as hawa, earth as prithvi, and sky as akash or ether.
So how does the coin, this little piece of metal, supposedly facilitate the balance of those elements within a person?
Well, we have to remember what the author said about Unit 2. This is a big picture concept for others to refine. But in traditional Indian philosophy, any imbalance in these 5 elements is seen as the root cause of, well, everything. Disease, mental agitation, instability,
Right.
prithvi or earth gives us our structure, our stability. Pakani, water, is about flow, emotion, circulation. Ag, fire, is our metabolism, our passion, transformation. Hawa, air, is movement, breath. our thoughts. And Akash, sky, or ether is space, consciousness, openness.
So if any of those are out of whack, say you have too much ag, you're too aggressive, or not enough Prithvi, you feel ungrounded.
Yes. Then the amulet, by carrying the number 5, becomes this symbolic representation of the perfect elemental blueprint of the self. It acts as a constant energetic reminder, an anchor to pull you back to that fundamental equilibrium.
So the 5 rupee coin is the stable foundation. It's the constant center of the whole system.
It is the elemental anchor. It establishes the rule. The cosmos and the self are made of 5 parts, and they must be regulated by the balance number, 5.
Okay, so if the 5 provides this stable, almost static anchor,
Whoa.
we need to introduce movement. We need dynamic tension.
And that is the role of the 2 1-rupee coins.
And this is where it gets really, really interesting, because the text demands this very subtle but crucial differentiation between them.
It does. One coin must be old, and the second must be new.
This is the introduction of time, of history and flow into what was, until now, a static system of balance.
It's the introduction of polarity in its most dramatic form. I mean, it's meant to encompass all of reality. Let's look at the mathematical side of it first.
Please.
The source assigns this enormous philosophical weight to these 2 small coins. The old coin, it says, represents the combination of all negative numbers as a group.
Wow, okay, hold on. Not just a past loss or a small debt.
No.
The entire concept of negativity. The universal deficit, loss reduction, debt, all of it is consolidated into one single, worn-out 1 rupee coin.
It's a hugely powerful metaphor for philosophical acceptance, isn't it?
It really is.
Okay.
So conversely, the new coin.
The new coin represents the combination of all positive numbers as a group, all future potential, infinite gains, surplus, growth, everything on the other side of 0.
I have to push back on that a little, just conceptually. One single rupee, a tiny fraction of wealth, is supposed to represent all positive numbers. That seems disproportionate. The 5 rupee coin represents the 5 elements, which feels right. But this feels different.
That's a great question, and I think the author is making a very deliberate statement here about the nature of value, its potential versus structure.
Go on.
The 5 is about structure, the elements that already exist. It's a fixed, stable thing. But the 1 rupee coins are about flow. Their face value is almost irrelevant. They're acting as symbolic placeholders for the infinite poles of the number line.
So the contrast is the point.
The contrast emphasizes that negativity, the old coin, and positivity, the new coin, are equally necessary forces to define the system, and they are held in place, held in tension by that central 5.
That reframes the entire purpose of carrying money. You're not just carrying a few rupees, you're carrying a model of the entirety of mathematical reality anchored by the principle of balance.
And it gets even more tangible, even more vivid, when we switch from the abstract math to the mythological polarity of money itself.
This is the movie-style moment, as the focus notes requested.
It really is.
Yeah.
The new coin, representing that positive inflow, future wealth, is immediately and directly connected to the goddess Lakshmi.
The sign of wealth, prosperity, money coming to your hand, the energy of creation, of abundance.
And the old coin, the one representing the negative, the outflow, that is assigned to Lakshmi's sister, Alakshmi.
We need to spend a moment on Lakshmi. She is often, misunderstood or even feared in some traditions.
She is. But the source here is very precise. It defined her role by linking her to the drain of money wealth, and specifically it indicates this happens when money is given back to someone.
The necessary expenditure.
That return.
The payment.
Alakshmi is the essential counterforce. In some tales, she's associated with poverty, misfortune, strife. But here, her role is refined. She represents the necessity of the drain. Without departure, without spending, without paying debts, or even experiencing necessary loss, there's no room for new growth.
So if you resist Lakshmi,
You're resisting the flow of the entire system. You're creating a blockage.
that is the crucial insight, I think, into the author's entire economic and spiritual philosophy. The 2 sisters are represented here to show that wealth, that money, is inherently dynamic in nature.
It has to move.
You need both. You need the arrival, which is Lakshmi on the new coin, and you need the departure, Lakshmi on the old coin, for the whole system to stay in equilibrium.
So the amulet is an instruction. It's teaching the wearer to accept necessary outflow, to not fear it.
To put it bluntly, you can't just hoard your way to cosmic balance.
You can't. You need the 5 in the middle to mediate that constant tension between the money coming in and the money that has to go out. By wearing this trio of coins, you are symbolically declaring that you accept the reality of this dynamic flow. You're keeping your life in balanced way.
It's an instruction against the anxiety of loss. It transforms spending money from a moment of stress into a necessary ritual for stability.
That's a perfect way to summarize it.
Okay, so we've established the function of the coins based on their numbers and their mythological roles. Let's pivot now to the secondary symbolism, the geometry of it.
Right, because we're moving beyond the monetary value now. The physical shape of the coins themselves carries enormous significance in the Legend Minds framework.
And the shape is, of course, circular.
Circular. And in a book titled Zero to Infinity, the circular shape is immediately linked to the symbol of zero.
And this is where the amulet transforms. It goes from being a kind of wealth or balance charm to something much more philosophical.
Much more. Because in this text, zero is elevated far beyond just being a placeholder digit in mathematics.
So what is the circle, what does zero signify here?
Zero, symbolized by the circle, indicates the existence of knowledge in the form of supreme guru.
The supreme guru. So the circle represents completeness, endlessness, the ultimate source of all potential and wisdom.
Yes. By making the amulet out of circular coins, the author ensures that the object itself is a constant physical reminder of that fundamental wisdom, the supreme guru that guides everything.
So the amulet isn't just promising you financial balance. It's promising the enlightened self-awareness that you need to handle that dynamic balance correctly.
That's it. The 5 rupee coin might give you your elemental stability, but the circular shape provides the wisdom framework to understand why that stability even matters. It wraps the entire system in this layer of profound metaphysical meaning.
The physical objects are metaphors.
Deeply profound ones. And while the individual values of the coins tell us about balance and flow, they're collective arithmetic. That provides yet another layer of auspicious power.
Right, we get 2 more lucky numbers revealed just by doing some simple math here. First, let's look at the sum.
The sum of the values. We add the 5 plus the 1 plus the 1, and we arrive at 7.
And the source explicitly calls 7 a universally recognized lucky number in the world.
It is. I mean, think about the cultural resonance of that number. 7 days in the week, 7 chakras in yogic tradition, 7 notes in a musical scale. The 7 wonders of the ancient world.
It often represents the spiritual completion of a cycle. So by carrying these 3 specific coins, you're embedding your personal intention within this universal rhythm that's symbolized by the number 7.
It adds a layer of global resonance. It integrates this, very specific Hindu cosmological amulet into a much more universal structure of good fortune.
And then there's the count itself, the number of objects.
The amulet consists of 3 coins in total.
And the number 3, of course, is independently identified as a lucky number according to numerology science.
Yes, 3 represents creation, completion, the divine trinity in so many different systems. So you have this incredible layering of symbolism.
Let's try to map it out. You have the dynamic tension of 2 Lakshmi and a Lakshmi.
Mediated by the creative power of 3, the total count of coins.
And the entire system is governed by the stability of 5, the central coin.
Which all adds up to this spiritual cycle of 7.
And the whole thing is contained within the shape of 0, the supreme guru.
It's a truly complex optimization. It's like the author took all of the highest ranking, most auspicious numbers, 3, 5, 7, and 0, and built this concise, powerful symbolic structure using the most accessible materials you can imagine.
It's designed, it seems, to be mathematically and mythologically unassailable from within its own system.
Yeah, I think so, yes.
All right, so now we finally understand what this amulet is. We understand the incredible cosmological weight that it's meant to carry. Now we get to the crucial part. How do you activate it?
The activation, this is key. The source provides a highly detailed, I would say almost cinematographic ritual procedure. This is what transforms these 3 ordinary pieces of currency into sacred objects.
Right. You can't just find the coins and throw them in your purse. There's a process of purification and energetic alignment that has to happen first.
And the preparation is incredibly precise. It really demonstrates the level of intentionality that's required for this kind of cosmic alignment. The ritual must begin on Tuesday night.
The timing is the first critical step.
It is. And the materials are just as specific. You need the 3 coins, of course, a small glass, and water from the Ganga River.
And what's the process? It's an overnight thing.
Yeah, it's an overnight soaking process. The 3 coins are to be kept immersed in the Ganga water inside the glass. The glass is then sealed with a small plate, and it sits like that for the entirety of the night.
This Tuesday night purification soak seems central to the whole thing.
It is. And the rationale for it, the why, I think this is the deepest part of the ritual.
It's not about physical dirt.
No, not at all. It's because, and this is a direct quote, these coins have come from different peoples in your hand.
And the source gives this powerful warning. You don't know about the behavior of peoples via these 3 coin come to you.
This is the concept of energetic residue, or you could call it financial karma. The author is deeply aware that currency is not inert. It's not just metal. It carries the emotional and energetic imprint of every single transaction it has ever been a part of.
So these coins could have been touched by someone filled with greed, or desperation, or joy or envy.
All of it. And that accumulator history, that negative influence of the behavior of peoples, it all has to be eradicated. It has to be cleansed.
So before these coins can represent the pure philosophical polarity of Lakshmi and Alaxmi, all of that messy, complex human baggage has to be stripped away.
And that's the role of the Ganga water. It's recognized across so many systems for its power of spiritual cleansing. Here, it acts as an energetic neutralizer. It resets the coins back to 0 before they can be activated with their new sacred purpose.
It's like an energetic quarantine.
That's a great way to think about it. They have to be moved from the realm of chaotic real-world currency into the realm of sacred symbolic objects. The Tuesday night soak ensures that the only polarities left are the intended ones, positive numbers Lakshmi and negative numbers Alaxmi.
And this cleansing is so critical, it actually requires a double application.
It does. The next morning, on Wednesday, after the wearer themselves has bathed, the coins have to be cleaned again with Ganga river water. It's a reinforcement of the purification.
Okay, so once they're physically and energetically clean, what's next? The assembly.
The physical assembly takes place. The coins are wrapped in a small white cloth, but the spatial arrangement is strictly mandated. This is non-negotiable. The 5 rupee coin must be placed in the middle of the 2 1 rupee coins.
And there it is, the final visual manifestation of the entire cosmological theory we've been talking about. Balance, the number 5, must literally sit between the positive inflow and the necessary negative outflow.
It has to be in the middle, actively mediating. The white cloth, of course, represents the purity and the clean slate that's been provided by the purification ritual.
And then comes the spiritual part.
After the physical structure is set, the spiritual consecration happens. The text instructs the wearer to first worship you own God.
I think that's a beautiful inclusion. It makes the ritual completely universal. It's not tied to one specific deity. It grounds the power of the amulet within the wearer's own established spiritual practice.
It does. The alignment becomes personal even though the structure is universal.
And only after that personal worship is complete.
Is the amulet to be worn on the neck for a positive mindset and welfare? The whole process is this systematic transfer of energy. You're cleaning, you're organizing, and then you're consecrating the structure of balance.
So the choice of Wednesday? That's the final, non-negotiable piece of the puzzle, isn't it? Why Wednesday? Why not a Friday for Lakshmi or Sunday for the sun?
This choice connects the ritual back to the author's broader and really profound cosmological views that are established elsewhere in the book, specifically in a chapter called The Digit Story.
Okay, so this is where the wider lore of the book comes into play to justify the timing.
Exactly. This is the justification.
So what does the Digit Story tell us about Wednesday? What makes it so special?
Wednesday is the day associated with the planet Mercury. But the author doesn't just stop there. The source makes the colossal claim that the planet Mercury is the guru of the entire humankind group in whole universe.
Wait, the guru of the entire humankind group? That is a staggering claim. It elevates Mercury way beyond its typical astrological role of, communication and commerce.
It does.
In many systems, Jupiter is the guru, the great teacher. Why Mercury here? And why a universal scope?
Well, in this specific framework, Mercury, which represents intellect, communication, swift movement, is positioned as the primary conductor of universal knowledge. It's the cosmic intelligence that instructs all of humanity, no matter where they are or what they believe.
The messenger of cosmic truth.
Yes, and its agility, its speed, allows it to govern the balance between extremes, since our amulet is fundamentally about maintaining balance through knowledge.
The knowledge symbolized by the circular shape, the 0, the guru.
Precisely. So aligning the amulet with the ultimate source of that balancing knowledge, the Mercury guru is cosmologically necessary. It has to be done on that day.
I see the link now. It's a perfect resonance. The coin's shape symbolizes the wisdom, the guru, that you need to handle money. And the day you start wearing it is aligned with the planetary source of all wisdom, the Mercury guru.
It's a perfect loop. And this elevation of Mercury logically makes Wednesday, the day ruled by this supreme teacher, the most divine day in a week.
The timing isn't about convenience then. It's about achieving maximum divine and intellectual alignment for the ritual.
That's the idea. And to amplify that resonance even further, there is one final visually distinct requirement.
The color of the cloth.
The person must make sure to wear green color of cloth while performing the ritual right before they put on the amulet.
And green is the color of Mercury. It's often associated with intellect, prosperity, the natural world, growth.
Exactly. Green is the color of harmony, of renewal. So by wearing green, the practitioner is establishing this deep energetic connection, a visual echo, with the planet Mercury's wisdom and its balancing influence. It's to ensure the ritual's effectiveness is absolutely maximized on that specific, most divine day.
So to recap the process, you have specific objects, purified on a specific night, arranged in a specific order, consecrated on a specific divine morning, and the whole thing is aligned through the wearing of a specific color. It's a completely closed-loop system of balance and cosmic alignment.
It is. And all of it leads to one very simple final instruction.
And wait for its impact as good result in your life.
The ritual is complete. The energy has been purified, it's been structured, and it's been aligned with the universal guru, and now it promises stability and welfare.
So if we just take a step back and synthesize everything we've covered, the sheer complexity that is embedded within this single, really quite short chapter, it's breathtaking.
It really is. The SKR takes the most abstract world of, philosophical physics, the totality of all negative numbers, the necessity of elemental balance, and marries it to the most tangible, everyday reality.
2 1-rupee coins and a 5-rupee coin.
It's a masterclass in symbolic compression. The author has effectively created what you could call a spiritual technology, a technology for achieving financial and emotional stability.
And it demands such a sophisticated understanding of duality. That existence requires both the positive, Lakshmi, and the negative, Lakshmi, to achieve any kind of dynamic equilibrium.
And that equilibrium is mediated by the ultimate balance number, 5.
And I think for you, the listener, the key aha moment here is realizing that financial success in this framework, it's not about static accumulation. It's not about hoarding. It's about accepting the flow. You have to accept a Lakshmi. You have to accept the loss, the expenditure, the necessary drain in order to create the space for Lakshmi, for the inflow. The 3 coins visually and mathematically mandate that you accept this universal dynamic.
It forces you to completely reevaluate your relationship with wealth. Money is energy, and in this system, energy must move. It can't be stagnant.
And the mediator, the number 5, isn't just an arbitrary choice. It's derived from the 5 fundamental elements: Og, Pani, Hawa, Prithvi, Akash, the very things from which we are constituted.
You are literally wearing the symbol of your own elemental composition to guide your financial and spiritual decisions.
And this brings us back to where we started. The author's original framing of this entire unit, Unit 2. These are rough way or big picture questions. They're intended for refinement by intelligent persons as scientists, astrology, mathematician.
Right. It's an open invitation for analysis.
So if we adopt that critical refining lens for a moment, a really fascinating question starts to emerge.
We established that the balance number, 5, represents the 5 fundamental elements. It governs stability in both the physical body and the dynamic economy of our lives.
So if a modern mathematician were to take this concept seriously as a system, they might ask, if 5 is the perfect balance point, what mathematical principle governs the system when that balance is actively and physically altered?
For instance, what happens symbolically if you accidentally lose the old 1-rupee coin? You've just removed a Lakshmi from the equation.
Right. Then you would have the elemental balance, the 5, paired only with the infinite positive Lakshmi on the new coin. Would the absence of a necessary outflow create some kind of catastrophic, unbalanced accumulation? A spiritual inflation, maybe?
Or if we think like a physicist for a second, the author claims these are fundamental laws of the universe. We know that in our universe, matter and energy are conserved. So how would the symbolic energy transfer described here? The cleansing with Ganga water, the resonance with Mercury's frequency, how could that be quantified or measured using modern scientific instruments?
Can a symbolic truth ever be translated into a physical one that we can measure?
And that intersection, that gap between an ancient, powerful, symbolic structure and our modern empirical methods of inquiry, that is the persistent and I think the most fascinating challenge posed by the legend mind.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into the meticulously structured world of numerology mythology, and the quest to achieve cosmic balance, all through the use of a little bit of pocket change.
Until next time, keep reflecting on the curious questions that are hidden in the big picture.
We'll see you then.